I still do like that suit. Welcome to the History Lord. You join us here in Cecil Court, junction of Charing Cross Road. Now, we've done a video about Cecil Court before, called Flicker Alley in another incarnation. So check that out elsewhere on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of the largest musical stars or music stars in the world in the 1930s, and it's probably someone you've never heard of. There's a plaque up there because this is where they used to live at the height of their fame. So today we're going to be talking to you all about Al Bowlly. Roll titles. He was born in 1899 in the Portuguese colony of Mozambique. Al had a series of odd jobs in South Africa. They included being a jockey and a barber, and he also sang in a dance band that was led by Edgar Adler, and they toured South Africa and what was then Rhodesia and India and the Dutch East Indies. In this band, his main role was as a guitarist, but Al was fired from the band whilst they were still in Dutch East Indies. He was then hired by a chap called Jimmy LeCune to sing in his band in India and Singapore at the famous Raffles Hotel. When he left that band, it was with the pianist Monia Litter that the two of them began travelling Germany. Here they played with Arthur Briggs and his Savoy Syncopators. But it was in 1926 Al Bowlly made his first recording, and that was a cover version of Blue Skies by Irving Berlin. It was in 1928 that he moved to Britain, and the band that he was with were playing at the Savoy Hotel until 1929. He went on to play with various bands on a temporary basis before gaining a more regular employment in 1931 with Roy Fox, singing for his live band for the Monsignor Restaurant, which is a stylish restaurant just off Piccadilly. Over the next 4 years, Bowlly recorded over 500 songs. He was played on the radio. He started his first British tour, which was a huge success, and his records were played in America as well. So when he got over there in 1936-37, he was already an established star. He was working so hard that during the day he was recording. It's all right, loads of pigeons are flying around at the moment. Don't worry, they're all Al Bowlly fans. They're all going to be nice. There we are. It's like a scene out of Hitchcock behind James at the moment. Where was I? Oh yes. So Al Bowlly was working so hard he was actually recording during the day in the studio and then going either to a music hall or a theatre or a nightclub in the evening, 7 days a week. So a hard schedule to keep up with. Bowlly was also riding high in the States, and he had his own NBC radio series, a magazine that featured the latest news and press interviews about him. And his picture was on sheet music, and he even beat Bing Crosby as the nationwide's most popular singer in 1936. Sadly, his absence from the UK in the mid-30s had damaged his popularity with British audiences, and his career began to suffer. He was also suffering with problems with his voice at the time, caused by the frequency of his recordings. He played a few small parts in films as well, but the parts were often cut and the scenes that were shown were very brief. Bowlly moved back to the UK with his wife Margie in January of 1937. By now he was performing all over England with his band, the Radio City Rhythm Makers, but by early 1937 the band had broken up when his vocal problems were traced to a wart on his throat. This briefly caused him to lose his voice. He was now separated from his wife, and with his band dissolved, he travelled back to New York for corrective surgery. With his now lack of success in Britain, he toured regional theatres and recorded as often as possible to make a living, moving from orchestra to orchestra. By 1940, there was a revival in his career, and he worked as a duo with Jimmy Mensheen in a programme called Radio Stars with Two Guitars on the London stage. This was his last venture before his death in April 1941. It was on the 16th of April 1941 that Al Bowlly had just finished a show at the Rex Cinema in High Wycombe. He was offered a hotel room for the night to stay there, but he decided to come back to his house here at 32 Duke Street in St James's. Sadly, on that evening, Luftwaffe dropped a parachute mine and it exploded near here. And when they found Bowley's body in the morning, not a mark on him. But they worked out that the door had blown off of his room and hit him straight in the head. and he died from his injuries. He was buried in a communal grave in Hanwell. It has been said that if Bowley had not died during the war, he would have been bigger than Bing Crosby, and that he had a better voice. Dennis Potter's television play, Moonlight on the Highway, was first broadcast in April 1969, and it focused on a young Al Bowley fanatic attempting to blot out memories of assault via his fixation with the singer. And Potter also featured Bowley's music in Pennies from Heaven in 1978. Bowley was mentioned numerous times and his songs were used throughout the first few series of the British TV comedy Goodnight Sweetheart. He's also known in films as well. Bowley's rendition of Midnight, The Stars and You has been particularly used in reference throughout various films, including The Shining, Toy Story 4 and Ready Player One. If you're a British comedy fan, then Bowley's 1931 recording of Hang Out the Stars in Indiana, that was recorded with Ray Noble and the New Mayfair Dance Orchestra, was featured in the 1987 wonderful film With Now and I. There's also an Al Bowley Club, which you can join online, which is all about his life and his works and his music as well. So there you go, that's a story about one of the most famous men in the world you've probably never heard of, but the influence of his music does live on. Thanks for joining us today. If you do enjoy the videos, then please subscribe. If you want to see what we do outside of them, then have a look at Last Line Films, which is James's channel, and have a look at historylord.co.uk and see about, well, things I used to do. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you soon.